Captain Ryan Hargrove had seen a lot in his life. He had fought in battles across distant stars, survived hostile planets, and led troops against enemies who seemed unstoppable. Yet nothing in his experience had prepared him for the small, trembling creature he found hiding at the edge of the bustling alien marketplace. It was a quiet corner of a city built on shining metal and glowing lights, where merchants called out their wares in alien tongues and people hurried past, busy with their own lives. But in that corner, everything seemed to stop for Ryan. She was tiny, no taller than a human child of 5, with smooth violet skin that shimmered softly under the market lights. Her large eyes were like dark pools reflecting a mix of fear and hope, and in her hands she clutched a small stuffed creature that looked battered but loved. Her ears were delicate, tapering slightly to points, and her hair floated lightly around her face as if it had a life of its own. Even from a distance, Ryan could see that she was alone, and something in her presence tugged at his heart, a pull he had not felt since the family he left behind years ago. The girl took a shaky step forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, please," she said, her words trembling. "Will you be my dad?" Ryan froze. He wasn't ready for this. He had no experience with children, certainly none with alien ones. He was a soldier, trained to fight, to survive, to lead, but not to comfort a lonely little girl. His mind raced, trying to understand. Was this some trick? Some alien game he didn't know about? Or was it real? The girl tilted her head, her eyes searching his face. "Please," she repeated, louder this time. Her tiny hands opened, holding the stuffed creature out to him as if offering a piece of herself. I don't want to be alone today." "Not today." Something in him softened. Ryan remembered his own childhood, the long nights in the barracks when letters from home were late or lost. He remembered the emptiness of sitting at a table meant for many, but only seeing one plate in front of him. His heart ached for this little alien, so small and fragile, yet brave enough to ask for love. He knelt down slowly, lowering himself to her level, and studied her closely. There was no malice in her eyes, only a quiet hope, a fragile thread of trust. "You're asking me to be your dad?" he asked carefully, his voice gentle, almost foreign to himself. "Yes," she whispered, nodding. "Just for today, my mom. She's always busy, always working. I don't have anyone to celebrate with. Will you, please, be my dad at her birthday?" Ryan felt a lump in his throat. He wasn't sure what to say. He had always been the protector, the fighter, the hero in the eyes of many, but he had never been a father. Not for a human child, not for an alien child. And yet, as he looked into her big, innocent eyes, he realized that maybe, just maybe, this was a battle worth fighting differently, a battle to protect her heart, even if only for a day. The girl's small fingers brushed against his hand, her grip tight and trusting. "Please," she whispered again, almost breaking. Her voice trembled, and her lower lip quivered as tears began to form. She wasn't asking for toys or candy or fancy gifts. She was asking for something far more important: attention, care, and love. Ryan swallowed hard, feeling an unexpected surge of emotion. He nodded slowly. "All right," he said softly. I'll come. I'll be your dad for today." Her face lit up instantly, a radiant smile that could have outshone the brightest stars. She bounced slightly on her feet, clutching the stuffed toy to her chest. "Really, you'll come?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief and joy. "I'll come," Ryan repeated, a small smile forming on his face. "Just for today," she gasped, her eyes shining with relief. "Thank you. Thank you so much," she cried, hugging his knees with all the strength she had. In that moment, Ryan felt something shift inside him. This tiny, violet-skinned girl had done what no battle or mission ever could. She had reminded him of the simple power of love, hope, and connection. And as they stood there together in that busy alien marketplace, Ryan realized that some fights were far more important than war, and this one, protecting the heart of a lonely little girl, was worth every sacrifice he had ever made. After Ryan agreed to be her dad for the day, Lyra's tiny hands squeezed his tightly. Her excitement was barely contained, but behind her sparkling eyes he could still see the shadow of loneliness. She led him through the winding streets of the alien city, pointing out small shops and stalls as if she were showing him a secret world he had never noticed before. "My mom, she's going to be surprised," Lyra whispered, her voice a mix of hope and worry. She doesn't get many visitors. And I don't really have a dad. Not like other kids, Ryan nodded slowly. I know, he said gently. But today will change that. You won't be alone, not even for a little while. They reached a small, glowing building that hummed softly with energy. Ryan could see through its translucent walls a woman, tall, graceful, with shimmering green-blue skin, working over a table full of glowing tools and tiny mechanical devices. She looked focused, absorbed, her attention fixed entirely on her work. There was no sign of the warmth Ryan had seen in Lyra's eyes, only the quiet hum of a mind consumed by duty. She's smart, Lyra said proudly, almost defensively, as if sensing Ryan's judgment. She makes things for other people. For the city, but she doesn't make time for me. Ryan's chest tightened. He wanted to say something comforting, but words seemed too small. So he simply squeezed her hand, letting her know he understood. Lyra's gaze softened and she whispered, Will you help me make her birthday special? I don't know if I can do it alone. Ryan smiled, a warmth spreading through him he hadn't felt in years. We'll do it together, he promised. Whatever you need, we'll make it happen. They spent the next hour preparing. Lyra explained that her mother rarely celebrated birthdays, preferring to focus on her inventions and the needs of the city. But she deserved happiness, Lyra insisted, even if it was just a small celebration at home. Together they gathered colorful lights, small decorations that shimmered with alien energy, and a simple cake-like creation that Ryan tried hard not to burn as he helped mix glowing ingredients under Lyra's careful supervision. Dad, do you think she'll like it? Lyra asked, her voice tinged with doubt. Ryan crouched beside her, brushing a strand of her hair from her face. I think she'll love it, he said softly. Not because of what we made, but because of the thought, the care, the love you're putting into it. She'll feel it in every moment. Lyra's eyes brightened and she hugged him around the neck. You really are my dad, even if just for today, she whispered. Ryan felt a lump in his throat. The words were simple, but the meaning behind them was heavy with trust, hope, and innocence. He had protected planets, fleets, and soldiers, but this was entirely different. Protecting someone's heart, even for one day, was harder than any battle he had ever faced. As the preparations continued, Lyra shared more about her life. She told Ryan about her favorite games, her small victories at school, and the few friends she had. She spoke of her mother with both admiration and a quiet longing, revealing the layers of love and loneliness that had shaped her small world. Ryan listened carefully, never interrupting, letting her words sink in. Each story, each laugh, each tear she shed deepened his connection with her. He realized that he didn't just want to be her dad for one day. He wanted to be someone she could rely on, someone she could trust, someone who could stand beside her no matter what. Finally, as the sun dipped below the twin horizon and the city lights shimmered like stars, they finished their preparations. The little home was glowing with warmth and color, a tiny world of joy crafted by two hearts who had found each other in an unexpected moment. Lyra looked up at Ryan, her eyes shining brighter than the lights around them. Tomorrow, or today, I don't know, she giggled nervously. But she's going to be so surprised. Thank you, Dad. Ryan knelt, looking into her eyes with all the seriousness and care he could muster. You don't have to thank me, Lyra, today. We'll make it the best day for her. And maybe the best day for us too. And as they waited for her mother to return, Ryan realized that some battles were not fought with weapons but with patience, love, and the courage to care for someone else's heart. The soft hum of the alien city filled the air as Ryan and Lyra waited near the glowing doorway. Every second felt heavier to the little girl, and Ryan could see the nervous energy radiating from her tiny frame. Her fingers twisted nervously in his hand, and she glanced toward the street as if expecting her mother to appear at any moment. She's coming, Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. She doesn't know you yet. What if she doesn't like you? Ryan knelt to her level, keeping his tone calm and steady. Lyra, he said softly, whatever happens, we'll handle it together. I'm your dad for today, and that means I'm here to protect you and help you. Lyra nodded, but her grip on his hand tightened even more. Ryan smiled faintly, realizing that for all his experience leading troops and facing danger, this simple act of comforting a child was one of the hardest things he had ever done. Finally, the soft glow of the doorway brightened as the mother returned. She moved with grace, her green-blue skin shimmering in the ambient light. Her eyes were focused, scanning her surroundings as she carried small tools and delicate instruments in her arms. When they saw her, Lyra's face lit up, but it quickly hardened with a mix of hope and worry. "Mom!" Lyra ran a few steps ahead, then stopped suddenly, tugging Ryan closer. She doesn't know you're my dad," she whispered, almost pleading. Ryan took a deep breath. He wasn't a hero today with a weapon. He was a stranger stepping into a life that wasn't his, trying to be something far more fragile and difficult, a father. He nodded at Lyra, signaling that he understood. Then together they approached her mother. The mother looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. "Ryan?" she asked, clearly caught off guard by the sight of her daughter holding the hand of a tall human. "Yes," Lyra said quickly, bouncing on her heels. This is him. My dad, just for today." Ryan blinked, unsure of what to say. He cleared his throat, forcing a small smile. "Happy birthday," he said gently, keeping his voice soft. "I'm your dad for today." The mother froze, her hands hovering over the instrument she carried. Confusion crossed her face, followed by something Ryan hadn't expected, curiosity and maybe a trace of warmth. "Your dad?" she repeated, her voice soft, uncertain. "Yes," Lyra said firmly, her tiny chin lifting with pride. "I don't have one, not really. But today he is my dad. Please, can you let him?" Ryan knelt to Lyra's level again, putting a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We're just trying to make today special," he said softly. "No one gets left out. We're a family, even for a short time." The mother's gaze softened, though she remained cautious. Ryan could see the wheels turning in her mind. Shock, disbelief, and a hint of something else she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She looked down at Lyra, her eyes flicking to the small decorations they had prepared, and then at Ryan, standing quietly, patient, steady. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the city and the soft sigh of the evening breeze. Ryan felt Lyra's tiny hand squeeze his, grounding him, reminding him why he was here. Finally, the mother lowered the tools in her hands and smiled, tentative but genuine. "All right," she said softly. "Let's try this just for today." Lyra's face lit up like the twin suns of her world, and she jumped forward, throwing her arms around both of them in a tight hug. Ryan held her close, feeling the warmth of trust and love growing between them. The mother, at first stiff, eventually joined in, her hands brushing over Lyra's hair with a gentleness she hadn't shown before. Ryan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not the calm of a quiet battlefield, not the satisfaction of a completed mission, but the quiet joy of a small family forming in the most unexpected way. And in that moment, he realized something important. Heroism didn't always mean fighting aliens or saving planets. Sometimes it meant stepping into someone's life, earning their trust and giving them love when they needed it most. Lyra pulled back slightly, looking from Ryan to her mother, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with happiness. "Thank you for being here." "For me." Ryan smiled, his heart full. "Always," he said softly. And he meant it, more than anything he had ever meant before. The small home glowed softly under the shimmering lights Ryan and Lyra had placed, the decorations swaying gently in the artificial breeze of the city. Candles glimmered on the simple, cake-like creation, sending flickers of light across the walls. For Lyra, it was perfect, and for Ryan, it was a reminder that happiness didn't need to be grand. It needed only love. Lyra bounced from corner to corner, her tiny feet barely touching the floor as she arranged decorations and hummed a song in her strange, musical language. Ryan followed closely, helping her hang glowing ornaments and straightening a banner that read, "Happy Birthday" in alien script. Each time Lyra's hand brushed his, he felt a warmth spread through him, a strange mix of pride, tenderness, and something he could only call belonging. "Dad, do you think she'll like it?" Lyra asked nervously, her big violet eyes watching him closely. Ryan crouched beside her, putting a hand on her small shoulder. "She'll love it," he said gently. "Not because of the lights or the cake or even the decorations. She'll love it because you made it for her, and because we're here together." Lyra's face lit up with a smile that almost made Ryan's chest ache. "I hope so," she whispered, adjusting a decoration carefully. I want her to be happy, just for today." Soon the mother entered, her eyes widening as she took in the sight before her. The small room was transformed, glowing softly with warmth. Decorations swayed, the cake glimmered, and there, standing hand in hand, were Ryan and Lyra. Her lips curved in a small, surprised smile as her gaze softened on the two of them. "Happy birthday," Ryan said gently, offering the cake. "We made it for you." The mother's hands trembled slightly as she took the small creation. She looked at Lyra, who beamed up at her, and then at Ryan, who gave her a small nod of encouragement. Something flickered in her eyes, something long buried, joy, hope, and perhaps a touch of pride. This is beautiful," she said softly, her voice catching. She knelt to Lyra's level, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "Thank you, both of you, truly." Lyra giggled and clapped her hands. "You like it. See, Dad? I told you she would." Ryan chuckled, ruffling her hair gently. "Told you," he said. She just needed to see it with her heart. The rest of the day passed in a blur of laughter, games, and gentle teasing. Ryan discovered that small alien games could be surprisingly exhausting, and Lyra taught him how to play with her toys, sometimes pulling him into silly dances that left him laughing harder than he had in years. The mother joined in hesitantly at first, then more freely, her laughter soft and musical, filling the room with a warmth Ryan had never imagined he would witness in a world so far from home. At one point, Ryan attempted to light the candles on the cake, only to have the flames flicker wildly in the alien atmosphere. Lyra squealed in delight, and even her mother laughed, clapping softly as Ryan struggled. Finally, he managed it, and they all sang a quiet, imperfect birthday song that filled the room with love rather than perfection. Later, as the glowing city outside dimmed under the twin moons, they sat together in the cozy room. Lyra leaned against Ryan's shoulder, her tiny hand clutching his arm. Her mother sat close, her hand resting on Lyra's knee. The three of them were quiet for a moment, sharing warmth that needed no words. "Thank you, Dad," Lyra whispered softly. This is the best birthday ever." Ryan hugged her gently, feeling the weight of the day's small victories. "I'm glad, kiddo. You deserve it," he said. The mother watched them with a gentle smile, a spark of something new in her eyes. She reached out and touched Ryan's shoulder lightly. "You've done more than help with a birthday," she said softly. "You've reminded us both how important it is to care, to love, to be together." Ryan looked at her, then at Lyra, and realized something profound. Some battles were fought not with weapons or strategy, but with patience, trust, and a willingness to give someone your heart, even if only for a day. And in that quiet, glowing room, a small family was born, not out of obligation, but out of choice, courage, and the simplest act of all, love. The birthday celebration had settled into a quiet, warm rhythm. Lyra sat between Ryan and her mother, her tiny hands clutching the edges of the glowing table, and her violet eyes sparkled with happiness. Ryan had never imagined such a peaceful moment could feel so intense, yet here he was, heart full in a way no battle had ever brought. The mother watched her daughter with something approaching wonder. She noticed the way Lyra's small fingers curled around Ryan's hand, how she leaned on him without hesitation, and how Ryan's eyes softened whenever he looked at her. Something stirred inside her, a mix of gratitude, longing, and an unfamiliar warmth that made her chest ache in a good way. "You've done more than I expected," she said softly, finally breaking the quiet. You actually made today special for her." Ryan shrugged, though his cheeks warmed slightly. "I just wanted her to feel loved even for one day. That's all." Lyra giggled and leaned against his shoulder. "It's more than that, Dad. You made me happy. Really happy. And I think Mom is happy too." The mother's eyes glistened. "Yes," she said softly. I haven't felt this happy in a long time." "Too long," Ryan nodded slowly. He had expected gratitude, maybe a small smile. But seeing her mother's subtle, tender expression made him realize something important. Even adults carried loneliness, and sometimes children's hope could reach into hearts adults didn't know were empty. Lyra's smile faltered slightly as she looked between them. Will you stay for a while?" she asked, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. I don't want today to end." "Not really." Ryan felt a lump in his throat. He wasn't supposed to feel this kind of attachment so quickly, yet he did. His life had been defined by distance, missions, and survival. But here, in this small home, with this tiny violet-skinned girl and her mother. He felt a connection deeper than any victory or medal he had ever earned. I can stay, he said slowly. If you want me to. But only if you both are okay with it. Lyra's face lit up instantly. Really? You'll stay? She asked, her voice trembling with excitement. Ryan nodded. Yes, I want to be here for you, Lyra, not just today, for as long as you need me. Her mother looked at him, a mixture of surprise and something softer in her eyes. Ryan, you're not just filling a role for a day, she said gently. You're part of our lives now, whether you know it or not. Lyra squealed softly and threw her arms around both of them, hugging them tightly. Ryan held her close, feeling the weight of the small but profound responsibility he had just accepted. It wasn't about fighting aliens or leading soldiers. It was about being present, loving someone, and giving them trust and protection. As the night deepened, they sat together on a soft mat, Lyra leaning against Ryan while her mother rested her hand on her daughter's shoulder. They spoke quietly about their hopes, their fears, and the small joys that often went unnoticed in the rush of daily life. Ryan listened intently, his heart swelling at the thought of being part of this new little family. The mother's voice broke the comfortable silence. You've reminded me, she said softly, that life isn't only about work, about duty, or about surviving. It's about moments like this. Moments we share and cherish. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan shook his head gently. No, thank you. For letting me be part of it. For letting me be her dad, even just a little. Lyra yawned, her small body curling against him, exhausted but happy. Dad, I love today, she murmured, her eyes closing. Ryan felt a rush of emotion so deep he had no words. He kissed her forehead softly. I love it too, kiddo. I love it too. And as the lights of the city outside shimmered softly against the window, the three of them, alien mother, tiny girl, and human soldier, sat together in quiet warmth, knowing that even in the vast universe, sometimes the greatest victories were the ones of the heart. The night had settled over the city, and the small home glowed with the soft light of decorations and the gentle hum of distant energy. Lyra had curled up on a cushion, her small body leaning against Ryan's side, while her mother sat nearby, her hands folded quietly, watching them both with a gentle expression. The warmth of the day still lingered in the room, and for the first time in a long while, Ryan felt what it truly meant to belong somewhere. Lyra's voice broke the quiet. Dad, will you stay a little longer, please? She asked softly, her violet eyes wide and hopeful. Ryan looked down at her, a lump forming in his throat. I want to, Lyra, he said, his voice gentle. I want to be here for you. I just need to make sure it's okay with your mom, too. The mother's gaze met his, soft but uncertain. Ryan, I wasn't sure at first, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. Seeing you with Lyra, I realized something important. I've been so busy, so focused on my work that I forgot what it means to be a parent. To be a family. You've reminded me. Ryan nodded slowly, feeling the weight of her words. I didn't come here to replace anyone, he said softly. I just wanted her to feel loved, and now, I think I want to be part of that love too. If you'll let me. The mother's eyes softened and a tear slipped down her cheek. You've done more than that, she whispered. You've shown us that family doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to care, and you care. Lyra yawned, snuggling closer to Ryan. Dad, I love today. I love you. Ryan felt his heart swell. He kissed her forehead gently, trying to hide the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. I love it too, kiddo, and I love you too, he said, his voice shaking slightly. The mother leaned forward, resting a hand on Ryan's arm. I don't know if I've said it, but thank you, she said quietly, for showing me that love isn't something we measure by time or duty. It's something we give freely, even in small moments. Ryan's chest tightened. I just want Lyra to be happy, he said softly. If that means being her dad even for a little while, then I'll do it. I want to stay. Lyra's small hands reached up, gripping his fingers tightly. Please, stay, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Don't leave me alone again. Not today. Not ever. Ryan's eyes met her mother's again. He saw in her gaze a quiet understanding, an acceptance that this little family, unexpected, fragile, and perfect in its imperfection, was something worth holding on to. He nodded slowly. Then I'll stay. he said firmly, smiling at Lyra. I'll stay for as long as you'll let me. The mother smiled, small and tentative, but genuine. Then let's try it, she said softly. Let's be a family. Not just for today, but for tomorrow, too. Lyra's eyes sparkled with joy, and she jumped into Ryan's arms, hugging him tightly. Really, you mean it? She asked, her tiny voice full of hope. Ryan held her close, his own heart full. I mean it, kiddo. I mean it more than anything. For a long moment, the three of them sat together in the quiet glow of the room, wrapped in a warmth that no battle or mission could ever give. Outside, the city lights shimmered like stars, but inside, the glow of love and connection shone brighter than anything Ryan had ever known. And in that soft, quiet night, Ryan realized something he had forgotten long ago. Being a hero wasn't just about fighting battles in the stars. Sometimes the greatest heroism was giving your heart, protecting someone's trust and loving unconditionally, even if the universe itself seemed vast and lonely. Lyra whispered, her voice heavy with sleep and happiness. I'm so glad you're my dad. Ryan kissed her forehead again, smiling through the emotion. Me too, kiddo. Me too. The first light of dawn seeped through the glowing windows, bathing the small home in a gentle golden hue. Ryan stirred awake, careful not to disturb Lyra, who was still curled against him, her tiny fingers gripping the fabric of his uniform. Her mother sat nearby, quietly sipping a warm drink, her eyes soft as they watched the two of them. The night had been long, but full of something far more important than rest. It had been full of connection, trust, and love. Ryan felt a quiet smile spread across his face. He had spent years moving from one battle to another, never truly staying in one place, never giving himself the chance to belong. Yet here in this small, glowing home, he felt something he had never felt before. A home. Not just a place, but a feeling of safety, warmth, and purpose. Lyra stirred and opened her eyes, blinking sleepily. Dad, she whispered, her voice soft and hoarse from sleep. Are you really staying? Ryan lifted her gently into his arms. Yes, kiddo. I'm staying, he said, his voice tender but steady. You don't have to face anything alone again. Lyra's face brightened instantly. She pressed her small cheek against his shoulder. Really? She murmured. Forever? Ryan chuckled softly, feeling a lump form in his throat. Forever isn't the right word, he said. But as long as you need me, Lyra, I'll be here. I promise. Her mother stepped closer, a soft smile touching her lips. Ryan, she said quietly, thank you for being here for her, for us. I didn't realize how much we needed someone like you until today. Ryan shook his head gently. I didn't come here to take anyone's place. I just wanted to help her feel loved, but now I think I found something I didn't know I was missing, a family, and I don't want to let that go. The mother's eyes glistened, a tear forming at the corner. She reached out and touched Ryan's arm, a simple gesture full of gratitude and trust. Then stay, she whispered. Stay with us. Be part of our lives. Lyra squealed softly and hugged both of them, her tiny arms encircling their little trio. Ryan held her gently, feeling the weight of her trust, the fragility of her small frame, and the immense love she radiated. He realized then that all the battles, all the losses, all the lonely nights had led him here, not to victory over enemies, but to victory over isolation, to a home he had never imagined he could have. As the morning light spilled fully into the room, they sat together, three hearts beating in quiet harmony. The mother reached out, intertwining her hand with Ryan's as Lyra leaned against him, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. They didn't need words. The comfort of presence, the warmth of connection, spoke louder than any language ever could. Ryan looked down at Lyra, her violet eyes shining with happiness and trust. You're my daughter now, kiddo, he whispered, and I'll do everything I can to make sure you're never lonely again. Lyra's small hand squeezed his, her smile radiant. And you're the best dad ever, she said, her voice full of love and conviction. Her mother smiled, her heart finally at peace. She realized that family wasn't about blood or perfection. It was about love, care, and choosing to be there for each other, even in the hardest moments. For the first time in years, Ryan felt whole. He was no longer just a soldier, no longer just a traveler among stars. He was a father, a protector, and a part of a family that had chosen him, just as he had chosen them. And as they watched the twin suns rise over the city, casting golden light across their small home, Ryan understood something profound. Heroism wasn't always about battles fought in distant galaxies. Sometimes it was about opening your heart, accepting love, and protecting the fragile, shining hearts of those who needed you most. Lyra whispered softly, her eyes closing in contentment. I'm so glad you're my dad. Ryan kissed the top of her head, his heart full and overflowing. Me too, kiddo. Me too. And in that quiet moment, the small home was no longer just a building. It was a home filled with laughter, trust and love. A place where a lonely little alien girl had found her family, and a human soldier had found his heart.